So I would like us all to please stand, and I would like to take the candle in prayer. Lord, I hope that tonight we are able to discuss with Mr. Desmond some of the resolution to the issues at hand. We have a wonderful place that we live, but there are a lot of consequences due to the weather. So we can work together and really benefit our community. So in your name we pray, amen. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to go ahead with the Freedom of Information Act.
Freedom of Information Act, in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, notice of this meeting and its agenda were provided to all news media and persons requesting notification. Commissioner Poston,
Here.
Commissioner Clifford, Commissioner Woosley,
Here.
Commissioner Engelmann.
She's here. Who did you call?
Commissioner Engelmann.
I was listening to Kim. Chip's heard me run my mouth for an hour. He said, please don't make her talk.
I will say, I think that we're all a bit under the weather and on cold medicine, so yes, that's always an excuse. All right, thank you. All right, and so tonight, as I said, we need to discuss with Mr. Desmond the issue at hand concerning, it was about a week ago that you were first told about this. So if you'd like to maybe present it.
As you can see, I handed everybody some information out. You can hang on to that, and if I don't cover everything right now, you can at least use it as a reference for later on. Last week I had a call from Charleston County, Robert Loring, he runs the landfill, who informed me that they were, in the very near future, we're not gonna take the man-made debris that we pick up on the island. Man-made is the construction debris, bulk items, couches, chairs, and whatever else people tend to throw on the curb that can't go with the garbage. And then on Wednesday, he called me and told me that that was happening today. So we started hauling up to Republic Services today in North Charleston, and there's a pretty good, it's added to our hauling time, to say the least. I mean, the earliest we got a truck back today, after settling up there, was about 2.5 hours. So we've gone from about an hour and 10 or 15 minutes to 2.5 hours, and that's in regular traffic, mind you. That's not without the usual, like, Smash Up Derby by Ashley Phosphate. So I'm really concerned about this because, first of all, there's some extra expenses that we obviously didn't budget for. That we're going to be using more fuel. And I'm just going to get on this list real quickly. The effects, obviously, they've added 20 miles. It's 24 miles from this facility to there compared to the 14 to East Ferry. 10 miles doesn't seem like that much. It isn't really, but it's the location of where the dump is. It's right off the Palmetto Commerce Parkway, which is off of Ashley Phosphate. And again, no easy way in, no easy way out, especially at certain times of the day. We've increased our turnaround time by at least an hour, and again, that's in normal traffic. During peak rush hour traffic, those numbers are going to be significantly higher. I basically have a short window of opportunity. Anytime after 9, but not after 2:30. That's when I'm really going to get jammed up. I have to send a truck there tomorrow morning, and he's probably going to get there without a problem, but coming back towards Charleston in the middle of rush hours, it's going to be a problem. Obviously, the fuel costs, again, that's a budget impact. We didn't budget. We're pretty tight on fuel when we budget, when we do the budget. So, also a possible increase in overtime. I mean, we don't budget much for overtime to begin with, and I fear that we're going to get stuck in a large amount of traffic coming back. Again, I was pretty upset about the short notice, and I asked them why they were doing this, and they said it's because they're running out of room in the landfill. They were response was, you didn't know this 2 years ago, or, you know, anyways, you know, I wanted to get in a little more depth with him, but he didn't seem to wanna give me any information. Basically, he told me, don't shoot the messenger, okay, so, some questions and concerns that I have, is this temporary or permanent? What's the long-term plan here? I mean, if the county's gonna change its policies, you know, again, a little more notice would have been wonderful. The other thing is, what I think is happening here is that they may possibly be running out of room there, but what I think is going on really is that instead of Charleston County taking on the expense of hauling this to North Charleston, they've put the burden on us. Okay, which I don't really think, with the notice they gave me, was not the right thing to do. You know.
So they were taking it up there.
Well, no, they weren't, but what I think has happened is they all sat around the table and said, we're gonna take on all this extra expense, and then somebody said, no, just make the municipalities do it. But so now we've taken on that extra expense. I have talked to Matt Altock, who's the solid waste superintendent for the city of Charleston. He's spoken to the man in charge down Mount Pleasant, and we plan on meeting next Monday morning at 9 AM, and we're going to demand a meeting with the county to get some more details of what's going on. I don't have any hardcore numbers right now, because this is so new that, you know, at the end of the month, I can give you a fuel report that will tell you, you know, give you a good idea what the increases were. But again, I think that this has just kind of been pawned off on us, and, you know, I could be wrong, there could be another, you know, huge legitimate reason for that, but I mean, I've been around the block too many times to know that something's not.
Has there been any change in management in the past year of the
There has.
landfill? Is there somebody new there?
I don't know if you remember Jim Neal, but he's now gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him, but, again, you know, changing a process is one thing, but not hearing us, not at least hearing our concerns before doing that is enormously frustrating, and, I don't, my thoughts are that it's gonna happen one way or the other. So I think that the best thing that we can do from an operational standpoint is to plan for that. I mean, you know, I may be able to fend off the wolves for a couple months, but eventually it's gonna happen. And you know, I don't know what Charleston County's long-term plan is for Beesbury landfill. All I know is that obviously it's filling up faster than they thought it would. But, you know, again, not my operation, that's their business, but, there are some solutions, I think, that we can work with. You know, the first one, if you see option A down there, is to reduce what we allow people to put out on the curb. Because what I'd like to do, if we can manage it better and put some regulations out there controlling what's out there, I can make it a one-man operation. I can purchase a piece of equipment and just put one truck out there to pick up all that bulk debris. Right now, we have 3 machines out there, and each machine operator has 3 pieces of equipment. They have two branch trucks and a man-made truck. So I wanna take those 3 trucks and just not eliminate them, but they'll end up just doing branch, and I'll have one truck that will have the ability to do all the bulk items. But that's gonna take some ordinance changes. We're really gonna have to limit what people put out, and you know, go ahead.
I went to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please.
My bad, I apologize.
Yeah, because then I just have a question.
You know, what really hurts this district financially is the contractors out there. Okay, we have we are not in the tree removal business, but everybody thinks we are. And we have people that, contractors come in, cut down the tree, throw it on the curb, which is in our ordinances and our regulations that you do not take contractor generated debris, you're supposed to haul it off. But, you know, catching people, if I don't catch them red-handed, I'm not gonna get into an argument with a resident and tell them, you know, call them a liar, basically. I don't think that that's appropriate. And so, you know, you're playing a guessing game out there all day, and you're doing the same thing with construction, construction and demolition debris. You know, oh yeah, my cousin came over and helped me gut this house, and now it's on the curb, and we don't take that stuff all at once, but we pick away at it. But in my opinion, and you know, my recommendation to this commission will be, or this committee, is that we stop taking construction and demolition, period. I think that's gonna alleviate a lot of headaches around here. If we can't control it, by catching you know, the contractors or the folks that are doing it, then ending it is the only option. Because it would, you know, if I had to guess between yard debris and man-made material, which we call your bulk material, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd probably say half of what's out there is probably contractor generated. And, you know, and I'm not going after the elderly lady that has a guy come in and do a lawn and puts 2 bags on it. That's not really where we're at. But, we need to make some changes. And, you know, the most expensive part of our operation is the yard debris end and the bulk pickup end.
And so that was what I was going to ask. So this is a concern of mine, and it has been most of the time. I see, especially living in the neighborhood, or a lot of places that are being rebuilt, but these people, they put things out as they're not supposed to, and it's not just the yard debris. But of course, you know, construction, sometimes it's being done, you know, on a personal standpoint, so it's not a contractor.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not like a builder or someone, you know, so it's be like if my husband were to be like, I'm going to do the floor, and then just put everything with, you know, these pieces with the nails coming out, everything that they're not supposed to be doing, even if they're informed, he'll still do it.
Yeah.
And you know, how the piles of junk, and it sits there a lot of times for weeks.
Exactly.
Eyesore. And so that's my concern also, so it's like, so obviously we would need to be telling people, you can't put this stuff out. You should have done this already with some of the things you're putting out. But, you know, would we be able to get in touch with people and say, you know, and then also explain this is how you have to. And so a neighbor could say, these people are putting out this much stuff, and then we could say, hello, you were doing this, and you need to take it here.
Yes.
And
Well, we'll still be able to take some of it. My plan is to 2 bulk items a week, and we will explain to everybody what we consider bulk item. And if you wanna put out 5 contractor bags a week, like if you're doing your floor, you put out those 5 contractor bags a week, and we'll take that, but it needs to be bagged. Because, you know, and you know, the other part of, you know, I ran a machine 2 weeks ago on a Monday. My biggest frustration was how people put things out, just disregard operational efficiency. I mean, the quicker I can pick up a pile and get it off the street, the better my operation is. And no one's doing that anymore, especially with the bulk. I mean, I pulled up to a stop, there was broken pieces of sheetrock all over the ground, and, you know, instead of me spending 1 minute there, not even, picking up 5 neatly bagged up items, I was there for 15 minutes because the driver had to get out and rake stuff out of the ditch, and, you know, and we wanna provide great service. It's not, we don't wanna, you know, we wanna leave a clean street behind us, but I think that we've gotten to the point with some of this stuff that we're just being taken advantage of, and it's costing us a lot of money on the other end. But, you know, again, if I can get it down to manage it, we can do it with one truck. And as far as what we're gonna tell the public, we would have to go on a campaign, and we would have to give them some notice, obviously. It's not something I'm looking to do next week, but, we would have to send something out probably with the wastewater bills. We'd have to nail it on Facebook like every day for the next, you know, month and a half, and we're gonna get beat up a little bit. I mean, I've been in this business a long time, and, you know, when you make a change like that, it stings for a while. But like everything else that we've done, everything else we've changed here, in a year's time, it'll be a distant memory, and people will just get used to doing what we're asking them to do. You know, I hate to seem like I'm trying to take away a part of the service, but I'm not. But what I don't want us to do is 7 or 8 years down the road, budget ourselves right out of business, because this stuff gets more and more expensive to haul. And what just happened is a perfect example of that. You know, hauling costs in what we do is our biggest expense. Fuel, equipment, tires. Now I have to worry about trucks breaking down on 26 instead of locally here, or, you know, close to the dump, or, you know, and that stuff all adds up. It's the little things that are gonna add up to the big things. And I think, you know, and again, like I said before, my recommendation to this commission will be to let us really wrangle in what people are allowed to put out. And so we can continue to provide that service, not at the same level that we've done in the past, but, you know, do our part not to fill those landfills up as quickly, you know what I mean? there are Carolina Waste, there's companies out there where you can take that debris, and it's actually, you know, Carolina Waste has a reclamation facility. If you take C&D there, construction demolition, they put it on a conveyor belt, and they pick out whatever they can, they'll recycle the wood, they'll recycle the sheet rock, and, you know, those are the things that Charleston County needs to be thinking about. You know, okay, if your landfill's filling up with C&D, build a reclamation facility, recycle whatever you can. There's a huge one where I'm from, that, you know, whatever they bring in, I think 10% of what they bring in, that goes back to the landfill, and that's a good number. That's a really good number. I mean, you're dumping 30 roll-offs with construction debris in there, and only 10% of that is going back to the landfill. You've done well, and, you know, those are the things that they need to start thinking about, but again,
So we need to talk to county council about
yes,
this.
yes.
And so that's what you're doing on Monday, is you're going
No,
to
we're
meet
gonna
with
get-
the city,
No,
no,
yeah.
I'm saying,
We
well,
need to
Yeah.
talk to Jenny.
no, I'm saying,
Hanscott.
yeah, I hadn't gotten to finish my
Yeah.
sentence
You know,
though.
what?
So, what I was saying is, so Monday, you were meeting, as you're saying with Matt
Yeah.
Applebaum, and you're having a meeting with the city, and you're going to be saying, county, we need to meet, and yes, then, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
and of
but
course. we would need to,
anything
but-
that all of you could do to make some contacts or get me contact information, whose decision this was, what was it based on, and why, did we not have the courtesy of a meeting to voice our own concerns? That's really where I'm at. But again, we may be able to scream loud and fend off the wolves for a while, but I don't think at the end of the day, we're gonna end up doing something. But, you know, in order to continue to provide that service at any level, we need to really wrangle in what we're picking up. I feel strongly that we should not pick up any construction debris at all. I have people that tear their docks out on West Ocean View Ave, and I've got 2-3 truckloads of dock material down there, and it's like, you know, that's just stuff, just eat your budget up, you know, and that's the
And that's
stuff.
one of the things I was saying was a concern, is that I keep seeing people putting out things the way that they're not supposed to, and we also are not supposed to, so I'm like, and like, as you say, you know, I definitely think we need to have another meeting after your meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
To go over, and then,
Absolutely.
yes, start making public comment. I certainly will reach out to the county and express our concern and our need for this to be resolved in different ways.
Yeah.
But, yes, it's,
But again, even if,
people are still going to be not doing.
exactly.
What are we?
Go
Well,
ahead,
then
I'm
what-
sorry.
Then once they've given enough notice, and I like the idea of the water bills, or, I mean, not the water bills, but our PSD bills, to get the word out and give them a grace period, and the people that disobey it, then they're gonna get fined.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
somebody's gotta pay for it.
Yeah, and you know, my goal with what I do here for the PSD is to leave someday when I retire, if I live that long, is to just leave a very efficient operation. And, you know, operational efficiency of what we do is so important. You know, there were reasons why we automate, that's the reason why we went to the CALC system, that's the reason why, because the smoother and more efficiently you can do things, then the better off you are and the cheaper it is to do it. You know, and, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Madam Chairman, also, we should, get people to, I see stuff that's perfectly good furniture or whatever, sitting on the curb, when it can go to the Goodwill or Habitat
Absolutely.
or whatever.
But when they're so used to, oh, don't worry, the PSD will take that, that's what you get.
Yeah,
And they also think a neighbor will pick up some of that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're right, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Exactly,
Exactly.
and that's really what's going on here for the
and
past.
for right now, doing it, like every other week, will give time for the scrappers and the pickers. I actually got the name of my scrap metal guy that comes around my name, and I call him. When there's a car part
Yep.
in my yard too long, I call him, come get this tire.
And, you know, every other week is an option, but that's still gonna require a reduction of what we're doing, and,
But you're giving those people that do that stuff a chance to get it. And also, put in our Facebook page, hey, call the Kidney Foundation. Trouble is, our local Goodwill does not pick things up. And, but let people know
yeah.
that those choices, and, you know, it's not that much bad a price getting a construction dumpster.
It isn't, and you know,
It's
and
ridiculously cheap.
I have people tell me, they gave me a price of $2,000, and listen, I drove roll off for like 8 years, you're not gonna tell me that you're paying $2,000 for that box to be full, because
No.
I know you're, and, you know, but, you know, again, we're back to, you know, what Commissioner Clifford said, when they're so used to just doing it that way, that they're just gonna continue to do it that way.
And that's what I say, my concern, seeing it so often, and that those people will just continue to just do it.
Exactly.
I've had to complain, actually, I complained to the town, about a couple in my, neighborhood because of doing this. I'm saying, hey, and the reason that I had to complain to them is because it was also different stuff that was going on. I said, it's on top of things, and this was like 2 years ago, but anyway.
And-
Yeah, it's.
And the other thing that I would like to stress too is, I think that we need to educate all of our residents that I'm not a fee-based service. If you see a county, me and Chief Seabold had that conversation today, there's no solid waste charge. I don't charge every resident, $99 a year to have your solid waste picked up. We're funded out of the general fund, and I get a slice of that pie to operate with. And that's really, what we have, and, my responsibility as the director is to keep costs down. And,
And we can put that, look, okay, we'll pick up all that junk, but your property taxes are going up.
Exactly, and,
Yeah.
and I have to replace equipment, and the biggest thing that is really hard on my dump trucks is the man-made, the C&D material. The brush doesn't do a whole lot of damage to them. You might bang on a few logs there once in a while, but most of the damage, most of my broken tarps, all from man-made material, sticks, the operator's trying to push something in the truck to make a little bit more room, and some 2x4 comes flying out and bang, there goes the top arm.
Well, the more time on the road too, a lot's for, if you're involved in an accident, or you're trying to circumvent an accident, that you still have a schedule to keep. And the
Exactly.
guys are gonna be like, well, we better load it up. Well, if you load it up too much, then the the cops are gonna come and get your crow blood.
Exactly, and, and now I can't really, I have to watch how I have to watch how I load now, because I'm hauling way further. You could get away with, going a little bit over the top, you weren't going very far. Now, everything's gotta be level, loaded, top down, good, I don't wanna be losing debris.
Yeah,
on
you get a bump or
26.
something and something fly off.
Yeah, we all know how that goes, we get, people see a blue pickup truck and I get phone calls, and it's probably their neighbor, You just hit my car, and, heard that many times.
Madam Chairman, I'm not on the committee. Spring Grove is the only place that you can take it? There's no other?
As of right now, Spring Grove is the only place.
I guess Jedburgh, but that's further.
Yeah, that's Oak, I can't remember,
Yeah,
Oak, something, but, yeah, that's even further. But, my thing is, why isn't the county putting a transfer site right on the property of East Ferry, where we can dump our man-made debris and they can trailer it up there? Why that isn't not being done or even considered is a little frustrating to me.
And if I may, Ms. Clifford, before you were able to come in, he had made a point, and just because of something you just said, so it's actually, today is when this started, Ricky, they're having to take his head up to the new location, and it's 2.5 hours, is what it took, when it used to take 1 in 15 minutes.
And that's
So-
in normal traffic conditions,
And normal, he said, yeah,
Normal.
so, that, because of your comment, I thought you.
You mentioned Republic having their, what do you call it? The reclamation thing, yeah.
That's Carolina Waste.
Is there any way to partner with them?
Well,
Where's their facility?
I called them and I got a price, and they want $65 a ton as opposed to regardless. It's an expensive operation, you get people on their lines for it, so. My experience in the private industry is they're not gonna budge on price. They don't care if you're, they just, they're in business to make money, and that's just the way it is, but.
Well, they would stand to, if we cut it out, they would probably get more people
They would
putting out
benefit from
dumpsters
that,
and,
yeah.
pick up more there.
But again, I have any information that you may all request. I have what it costs us per resident every year to service them. I have, per hour truck costs, and if any of you all feel like you need some of that information, send me an email, I'll be more than happy to send it to you. These are my recommendations, and I would appreciate anybody that knows anybody at this county who could, find out who made that decision, so we know what we're dealing with, would be wonderful. I always like to know
I think
a little bit more.
even if we
So to
don't
speak.
come up with anything right now, getting it out in social media that, call the, take it to them. Let's reduce our waste and recycle it. And, call the they'll come, Kidney Foundation will come.
And we can do
And
recommendations.
there's others out there, I don't know, that's the only two I can think of, there's others.
Goodwill will come also.
They don't have a
We'll-
truck.
we'll-
Oh,
yeah.
Habitat will come,
Yeah, so maybe we can put the names of those,
yeah.
company that,
Get your staff to
Just,
find those people
just
and
public
keep putting it out on
information.
I
Facebook.
can have Stacy, she's the social
Yeah.
media manager, she
To
can.
let people know
Get some stuff
that they
together.
can, do
There are
that,
options.
and, I'll ask the town to do the same.
Okay.
Well, and yes, and like I said, I definitely, you know, we can speak on Monday, figure out a meeting following after the meeting you have on Monday morning, so then we can move from there. And also, you know, as, you know, we agree, you know, with Commissioner Clifford, that of course, I think, you know, it would be where you would decide, if you're putting out some of this stuff, and we would need to be posting that before it would actually be going into effect, so we can come to a consensus on
Sure,
that as well.
and, I would just ask that, whenever this commission decides to come to that conclusion of how you'd like to move forward, that we do it as quickly as we can. The sooner I can rectify that situation, the better off.
We can have a meeting next week.
I
Sure.
would suggest that, after your meeting, you come up with recommendations and have Chris put it on the December thing. Enough of us here, we've discussed this, and let's go over it by the December and have it start in January first.
That sounds good to me, and what I'll put together is, the recommendation, that would be under the A, what I'd like to do, but what I will do is, we will do a draft of an ordinance change, if that's,
Yeah.
and then you can all look at it in December, and if somebody wanna move forward with it.
I have an idea.
And I was gonna say, and I know, we have the 7 o'clock, if we can maybe just postpone for about 5 minutes and finish this.
Point
Yes,
before.
oh, I was gonna say, and that's, cause I know that Ms. Clifford and you both have something to say, and it seems like we're about, but I just wanted to say, cause it's almost 7, I just wanted to make a point real quick. Yes, ma'am?
What I was saying, when we, put out the new garbage can, we had, public meetings, and have people come in, and they, you know, we presented the new garbage can. We could do the same thing, we can have,
That's,
public meetings, and have people come in and share with them. Because I think this kind of information the public really need to know.
Absolutely.
That something is happening, and talk to them about it, you know? I mean, they talk about speed bump, we can tell them, you know, the problem we're having. I mean,
Exactly.
why keep it to ourselves?
A
Thank
fair
you.
amount of the neighborhoods are represented too at the town's neighborhood safety council meetings that I used to represent in my neighborhood. So maybe if somebody could bring that up at there and tell them, this is what's on the forefront, talk to your neighbors, tell them, because the more we can spread the word, having people come to a meeting would be ideal, but you see how many people come, and then they wanna yell later because they don't know nothing.
well, there's a neighborhood association too that I'm gonna reach out to, I think it's Zenny Flynn that runs that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out to him and see if I can get hooked up, with him, and maybe he can
Cool.
call a meeting, and we can do that route too.
Before we go out, I wanna say real quick, Ms. Clifford will chair both meetings in December, so whatever you copy Chief Seabolt, will you copy her, and that way she's on
Absolutely.
top of the information?
I'll give all the information to the full commission. and-
Yeah, well, I mean, she can be chair, so she needs everything to work on the agenda, but
No problem.
that'd be good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your time, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And if you'll excuse me, I have to go, I gotta get home and
Well,
take care of my son.
thank you so much,
Yep.
Mr. Desmond.
And happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, same to you. All have a good holiday. Thanks.
Good job.
Well, and so we will now adjourn the committee meeting, and